Years. Graziano, final word.
Yeah, look, I think it's important to note that Caleb Williams did spend last year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. There is benefit to that. Even if you can rip the coaching all you want, they've all been fired. We all know the story. But whatever he took from last year in terms of the negatives and the positives of starting a full year in the NFL offers Ben Johnson some ground on which to do that building. And I think you see the good moves. Dennis Allen as defensive coordinator is an outstanding selection by Ben Johnson. He can take care of that side of it and let Ben work with Caleb and the offense and manage the big picture. But I think you have to like the steps that the Bears have taken since Ben Johnson got there, and you also have to acknowledge that there are a few more still to take.
I agree. Look, it is a city that produced a pope before it produced a 4,000-yard passer, and the Bears have been around since the 1920s.
Okay, well, let's talk about this because, I really look at this bottom question, is all the pressure on Caleb Williams? And I do. I think all the pressure is there on him, and understandably so. But I disagree, though, with this idea of he spent the year in the NFL, and so that's going to be great for Ben Johnson to work with. It's like, yes and no, because Caleb's also going to have to unlearn a lot of stuff, some of the lessons that he's already learned because they were probably the wrong lessons because it was such a disaster of a coaching staff and what they did with Caleb Williams. And, again, I've defended Caleb Williams every step of the way. Throughout his whole rookie year, all my videos now this offseason, kind of defending him, giving him the benefit of the doubt, saying that I don't need him to hit the ground running. Colin Cowherd recently said, by week 4, he better be great. Otherwise, he's probably not the guy. I reject all of that. But I still admit, though, that clearly the pressure's all on him. It's clearly going to be all on him. And I think it's actually going to be a good thing because he's just gotten such a crash course in such of how intense, how negative, how bizarre, how twisted, how humbling, how, angering, pretty much every negative checkbox that you need to check in the NFL, he's just getting a front row seat to it all. And you survive that, you overcome that. I mean, the rest of the pressure that he could face throughout his NFL career, big time NFC Championship game, final week of the season, all hands on deck, got to win this game to either win the division or just to even get into the playoffs, whatever it may be. It's just going to be nothing. He knows it. He feels this pressure. He knows if he has another season that doesn't go to plan, he knows, he replaced Justin Fields. Justin Fields had a thing, and we're not talking about Justin Fields. We're not talking about how the coaching staff and the team doesn't matter. You just see, you get a couple years, and it's not to say that his career would be over, because even if he was awful, let's say he had one of the worst seasons you could ever imagine, and let's say the Bears were we don't want this guy anymore, he would still get another opportunity. He would still go to another team, and he would still play somewhere else. If they wanted to move on from her, whatever it may be, or even just a third year, he would get another chance because he was the number 1 overall pick. People do believe that the talent is there, etc., etc., etc. But the pressure is clearly there. It's clearly there. It's every question is going to be directed about Caleb Williams to Ben Johnson, to other players. Anytime he struggles, anytime he plays great, anytime he plays average, it's just all hands on deck on Caleb. That's what happens when you are the number 1 overall pick and you're positioned to be a generational talent and you have a year like you had last year. And I know a lot of Bears fans are hey, he had a really good year last year. Everyone needs to stop acting like it wasn't that good. I'm not here to kind of keep rehashing that. I have no desire to do that, but it's just obvious that this season the pressure is there. The pressure is there. Ben Johnson's going to feel the pressure. This is his first time as a head coach. He wants to do good. There's plenty of other players on the Bears team that are they're ready to win. Either they've been there for a minute or two and they're just come on, man, things are supposed to change here, or you have some of these newer guys who need to prove it to them, for themselves, either directly for themselves or because they're trying to get a contract, they're trying to get some Pro Bowls and win some games, and they're trying to make their own career. I always talk about in the NFL, these other guys they're not in Caleb Williams's story. They're in their own story. You know, this is Ben Johnson is his own story. Caleb Williams is his own story, etc., etc. And so, you know, this has been so Caleb Williams centered that the moment things don't go well, it just sours very quickly. And you know, you burned that card your rookie year, and so no one will be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Whether you should or you shouldn't, they're just not. I might be the lone voice who's like, no, guys, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But they were willing to do it with C.J. Stroud because he had an unbelievable rookie year, right? And they're like, okay, that wasn't a great second year, sophomore slump, bad O-line, fired OC. It's okay, let's go the next year. Same thing with Jordan Love. Jordan Love balls out at the end of his first year as a starter, has a little bit of a rough season. Second year, again, not terrible, just not a repeat of what he had before. And people are like, all right, not the best year, a little banged up. You know, not a lot of offensive weapons to work with, at least from, you know, wide receiver standpoint. Let's just wait. Let's not freak out. Let's not panic. Heck, even Trevor Lawrence, they're like, let's not panic too much. Let's give him $200 million. We think he's really great. We think he's had bad coaching. Like, you kind of get some of the benefit of the doubt. Caleb has, unfortunately for him, burned it up. And when you get a coach like Ben Johnson, who was supposed to be an absolute force, it's like, I just think people, if this offense isn't working, they're going to blame Caleb more quickly than they will burn Ben Johnson, unless you see players like fighting on the sidelines and there's like little sound bites of people hearing, oh, Ben Johnson doesn't, you know, lost control of the locker room and he runs meetings weird or something, you know, like outside of hearing stuff, which I don't think is going to happen at all. It's just going to be Caleb. It's going to be Caleb. And he knows that. And I just think when you embrace that, when you succeed at that, when you overcome that, it's just, you know, iron sharpening iron. So I think it all ends up being good, quite frankly. I think a lot of times you see quarterbacks or just players in general who really can hit the ground running and they have a lot of success early on. It kind of can delay their growth. I mean, Tom Brady himself has talked about this. Like, it took him years to be like, oh, the NFL is really hard. Like, I didn't realize how hard this was. And it's like, bro, it took you years to like actually realize that. And he admitted, like he straight up admitted, he's like, I thought the NFL was easy. I was having so much success early on. Like, I thought this was easy. And it was like, oh, this isn't easy at all. Like, this is brutal. And it's just, Caleb Williams is front loading that experience right now. Oh, this is the pressure. Like, I knew there was pressure to like be able to come up big. And when you're thinking about pressure, you're thinking about like the moment of it being the fourth quarter. And you're probably, you know, a lot of these guys, you're fantasizing about being like in the Super Bowl and a lot of the stuff that you probably fantasized when you were a kid and stuff like that. And it's like, when you think of pressure, like that's what you're thinking about. But you're like, oh, wait, there's also pressure just to like stay in the league. There's also like pressure to like, you mean like the fans can like really turn on me and like they could be calling for me to like get shipped out of Chicago? Like, it's like, you're not like really aware of like some of these other pressures of like, oh, like is the coaching staff kind of starting to turn on me? Do they like, you start to question, like, I don't like, am I not as important as I once was? Like, are they going to draft someone? Like, you start to think things that you didn't necessarily realize of like, oh, like there's other layers of pressure that you can experience, because a quarterback like Caleb Williams had never really experienced that necessarily. Even if you were already a backup quarterback and you weren't the starting quarterback in 9th grade, but by the time you hit 10th or 11th grade, you were, like, it's still it's just different. And once you reach a certain level, like being the first overall pick, a lot of people are just like, this is my life, this is who I am. Again, Tom Brady was overlooked, late draft pick, and yet once he hit the NFL, he was like, well, of course, this is who I am. This is what I'm always going to be. I'm always going to win nonstop. And it was like, oh, wait, I can fail, you know? So it's not like he was even necessarily humbled by, you know, being overlooked initially in the NFL, because these guys have just an insane belief in themselves, and understandably so. So, like I said, I think he's just getting the ultimate crash course in essentially everything that can go wrong, and so many of the other more nuanced, intense moments that an NFL career can bring. And if he graduates from that, it's just like, all right, dude, like, you know, just improve your ability to read a defense, be able to hit your man in stride, and like, I mean, what's going to stop you? What else do you really need to learn from that point forward? So, you know, I continue to be optimistic and excited to see, you know, what the future brings for him. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams? Do you believe that all the pressure is on him? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.